In this video I'm going to make this oval bowl, but the next step is the first step. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to get on the computer and I'm going to show you how I create the pattern for this bowl. It's an online program, and I'm still learning how to use it, but this is my second step. First step was to make a round bowl. I didn't show the making of the pattern in that, but I'll walk you through how this works, and hopefully you can do some bowl making of your own. And if you like this, well, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. It helped me out a lot. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And stay tuned. I'll show you how I made the pattern to make this bowl, and then we'll cut it and put it together. Okay, what I want to do for this video is I want to create a pattern for an oval bowl. I'm going to show you how to do this. I use this website called scrollmania.com, which you can see right there. And you have all these options here you can use. What we want to use is what he calls PolyDraw. This is by Dave Van Ness, the new PolyDraw. And to explain what a poly is, let's open that up and we'll look at it. Come up with a blank working space here. But what a poly is when you create one of these patterns. Let me show you one I've got here. This is a pattern that I created. We're going to recreate this, something similar to this. So what this is, a poly is this line. Each one of these lines is a poly. This pattern has 3 rings to create the bowl and a base. So each ring has 2 polys associated with it. They define each ring, and they share a common poly between 2 adjacent rings. But anyway, that's what a poly is. So that's what we're going to draw with this program, is the polys. And it says here the number of polys. We're going to want 4 polys. You have to have 4 polys for 3 rings. So you put the 4 in there and then just click in there, and it opens up you some fields to alter the data in. Now first I'm going to start out just drawing the rings, then we'll add comments and lines, and we'll show you what that is here in a second. But first I want to make a bowl that is 4 inches wide by 5 inches long, which makes it an oval bowl. So this radius, that's the outer radius. So if you drew this right now, they're all the same. All 4 of those polys would draw on top of each other. So you want to move them out. I want 1/4 inch rings. So the wall of the bowl is 1/4 inch thick. So we're going to start here with, I'm going to go down to 2 because the 4 will draw an 8-inch bowl. I want a 4 by 5. So that's going to be 2 inch. Then you come down 1/4 inch on each one. These numbers are in inches. And we're at scale 1:1, so these will actually print out in inches on the paper. So that's the X radius. And I'm going to go to a 5-inch bowl, which would be 2.5 on this. On the Y radius, up and down, that'd be up and down on the paper. X radius will be horizontal line looking at the paper. Y radius will be vertical. So we're going to go 2.25. So basically you're adding a 1/2 inch to these numbers over here. But we're coming down a 1/4 inch increment at a time. Alright, so there you have, that should draw 4 rings in an oval pattern. So to draw that, you go to draw, and I'm using a Brave browser because for me, Brave browser gives me an option to rename the file as it's saving it instead of taking the default that Scrollmania gives it. Chrome is not giving me that option. I'm not sure why, but I'm using this to do that. So we're going to draw it. It should give me a prompt to rename the file. And we're just going to say this is the 4 by 5 bowl. And we're going to do this more than once, so I'm going to name this number 1. And we save it. It saves it as a PDF. And I come down here and I open up my downloads. I'm taking that into my downloads file, and this should just be the basic pattern. And there it is. That's just the basic pattern. You could take that right there and cut it and make a bowl with it. But I'm going to add a little more to it. I want the lines going across the y-axis and the x-axis, and I'm going to put a comment in there because I want to print in there what my angle should be. I'm going to use 3/4 inch material. I want that to be printed in there that for 3/4 inch material it's going to be an 18 degree or whatever it is angle. But next let's add the lines to it. Okay, to put the two lines, I want to put these lines on here. You have this spot here that says number of lines. We want 2 lines because we want one straight up and down, one across to cross in the middle. So these are drawn in 4 segments, and you go at coordinates from x to y here in 2 places, and x to y here in 2 places. So I take these 2 numbers, the 2 and the 2.5, and on this side make them negative, -2, and then right here catty corner to it, -2.5. And these 2 coordinates draw a segment, and these 2 coordinates draw a segment, and then right here we're going to go 2 positive and 2.5 here positive. So those draw 2 more segments. So let's draw that and see what that looks like. Give me a prompt here. We'll call it oval bowl lines. Let's see how that looks. And there it is. Let's see how that came out. Okay, that's what I wanted. And see this, you got 4 segments, half of that line and half of that line, and the same up and down. And those 2 coordinates, 2 sets of coordinates give each one of those 4 lines. So that's the next step. Now I want to put some comments in. I want to put right here the thickness of the material and the angle for it. But first we got to figure out what the angle is going to be. I'm going to use 3/4 inch material. So we go back to the original page, get to load up here, and we have an angle calculator right here. Click on that, opens up another tab. And right here, the thickness, that's the thickness of the material. I'm going to put 0.75. The width is 0.25 because I've got 1/4 inch thick rings. And now I want to solve for the angle. So you hit the solve next to the angle, and it gives us 18.4. So now I'm going to make the comments. I want 2 comments. Click in there. I'm going to offset X by 1/10 of an inch. And I'm going to offset Y by -1/2 an inch. I believe I got that right. Alright, and then on the second comment I'm going to offset the 1 because that's going to line them up on the left hand side, and then I'm going to make this a little bit 0.75. This should be 0.5, not 5. I'm missing everything here. -0.5 minus 0.75. There you go. That's what I need. So right here I'm going to put for 3/4 inch. I'm going to click that right there, and it's going to be 18 degrees. Let's draw that and see how it looks. We're going to call this oval bowl final. Hopefully this will be the last iteration of this, and we'll have our final pattern. There it is. There it is. We got the polys there to cut. We got this in case I like having that in case I'm going to do something I need to center it. And then we got this information we need for 3/4 inch what degree to cut it at. So I'm going to print that out and mount it twice, because I'm going to what I do is I mount this twice, and I try to not drill holes that will remain in the final product. And I will drill a hole on on one of the patterns in the second ring and in the base. So I can cut the outside poly here and go into this hole and cut this poly, and then get in the inside and cut on the base and cut that poly. And then on the other pattern, I'll just drill a hole so I can right in here in the last ring, and I'll come through the outside ring to cut this poly, then I'll get in that hole to cut this poly, and then we'll cut this poly to get the base. But that's what I'm going to do. I've done that before and it works real well. So let me print this out and mount it, and we'll start cutting on it. So I've got these patterns mounted, and one thing I had to correct, I typed in 18 degrees when I was in the program. It should be 18.4. Now that's less than half a degree, but it does matter on these rings, and I'm probably not going to get it exactly on 18.4, but I need to get as close as I can. I use an app on my phone to set that. Check the table before I start, and then try to get it level, and then move it to as close to 18.4 as I can get. And I've drilled the holes, drilled them at an angle. I had to do these twice. I wasn't paying attention, and I drilled downward, which won't affect the other rings that I'm saving. I drilled these in the proper orientation. They're kind of angled toward the center, which is what I needed. So get these over to the saw and get set up, and we'll cut them out and start gluing them together. This should be fairly simple and quick, but this will basically be a project. I'll show you how to make the pattern all the way to the finished product. But there's only going to be one bowl, because these rings will be messed up when I cut through these. Again, that's a little bit of waste of material, but this is fairly inexpensive material, and it comes out with a much smoother product. So let's get to this saw, and I'll probably use a number 5 blade and put a fresh blade in it and get the table set, and we'll see if we can cut this. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut this outside poly first, then I'll enter through the hole, and I'll cut this poly and this poly, and that'll give me this ring free and the outside of this ring free. And then I'll go in here in this hole and cut this. That'll give me these 2 rings complete with no holes drilled anywhere in them. And then I'll get the other piece and do a similar thing, and we'll look at that when we get there. Now on this one, I'm just going to cut through this outside ring and cut this poly right here, and then I'll enter this hole here and cut this one, and then cut this one. That'll give me this ring at the base with no holes drilled in it. Well, there, I've got it all cut out. 3 rings in the base with no holes drilled in any of them. So what I normally do to put these together is I start with these 2 rings, the 2 bottom rings, line them up as well as I can. I try to match the inside as best I can, whatever configuration I have to put it in, and then sand that, get everything lined up. It's always off a little bit, maybe not much, but it is a little bit. And then I'll put the top ring on, do the same thing, and put the base on last. I'm also considering taking the pattern and cutting like a 1/4 inch base to see if, I think that'll work. I'll put that on there, and it'll be a shorter bowl, but the internal part of the bowl will still be the same. We'll start gluing this together, and I'm going to also look at my material, see if I got enough 1/4 inch. I should have plenty of 1/4 inch, but I have to double check and see about cutting a base and see if that works. We'll find out if I think it will. We'll find out if it does. So let me look around for that, and I'll start gluing this together too. Well, there's the bowl, glued together, sanded. I've got one coat of Danish oil on it. It's got a little bit, I think, a little bit of tint in it, kind of a light walnut look. I did put the smaller base on it. I like that better. And that works okay too, but I just like that better like that. You don't need a 3/4 inch bottom on that bowl. This volume of the bowl internally is still the same. So I hope you like that. I hope you learned a little bit about how to use that if you want to make a bowl yourself. This is just the beginning of what you can do. You make all kinds of squarish bowls. You can make wavy bowls. It's endless is what you can do. You just know how to figure out how to put the data in to make it look like you want it to look. There are other tutorials to do some of that. I haven't gotten that far with that. This is kind of my next step. I did a round bowl, and now I've done an oval bowl. I'll probably experiment with some of the other stuff. But anyway, that's basically the idea of this video, is to make the pattern from scratch and cut it out. So hope you enjoyed that. Hit the like button and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next video.